Beep beep. The first thing the 2025 Honda Civic Si throws at your ears isn't horsepower, isn't price, it's a choir of warning chimes. Lock the car, beep, sit down without buckling up, beep, crack the door open just a little, beep again. Honestly, if this car had a side hustle, it would be working as a supermarket security guard with a megaphone. But hold on, don't think I'm trashing it. The SI trim is Civic's sweet spot sport model. Built for people who still love a stick shift and want to feel in control, Honda deliberately kept the 6-speed manual and a limited slip diff in here. It's their gift to drivers who refuse to hand over all the fun to an automatic. Unlike the Type R, the high-performance beast that's limited production, each unit stamped with a collector's number, the Civic Si isn't locked behind exclusivity. This is a car you can actually buy, daily drive, take to work, grab coffee with, not just polish with microfiber cloths and park in a garage shrine. So when I poke fun at the beep choir, what I really mean is the Si is an accessible sports sedan, not a unicorn, not museum art. It keeps the sporty soul alive while reminding us, yeah, Honda still remembers that some of us just want to drive. Picture this. You take a friend to check out the car. Step out and beep. They give you that look like, what did you break? You shrug it off. Then another beep, as if the Civic itself is ratting you out. Yep, this guy messed up. Instant loss of street cred in the dealership lot. But hey, the beeping is just the hook. What matters is once the noise fades, the Civic Si still delivers that classic recipe. Light on its feet, fun in the corners, sporty enough to thrill, efficient enough not to bankrupt you at the gas pump. More on that later. For now, let me ask, if it meant getting an affordable stick-shift sports sedan, would you put up with this beep orchestra? Drop a comment. I'm curious if anyone else might catch Stockholm Syndrome from it.
Small engine, big fun. The 2025 Civic Si packs a 1.5-liter turbo with 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. On paper, some folks will frown. Wait, that's it? Even some bargain crossovers show more than 200 these days. But here's the twist. Honda didn't chase numbers for the brochure. They engineered the engine, gearbox, and drivetrain so every pony actually pulls its weight. Now, off the line, it won't slam your head into the headrest, but climb past mid-range RPMs, and the Si feels like a chef swapping the butter knife for nunchucks. Quick, precise, and every throttle blip is a little surprise. Add Honda's rev-notching trick, downshift, and the ECU blips the throttle to match revs, turning every gear change into a smooth note, like you're playing an instrument. Instead of looking clumsy at your first dance class, the Si makes rowing your own gears feel like performance art. And don't forget the limited slip diff. Thanks to it, the front wheels don't fight each other for the mic, they harmonize. Hit a tight corner and the inside wheel doesn't spin away like a cheap FWD commuter, it sticks, like someone glued the tires down with industrial strength epoxy. I know what some of you are thinking, 200 horsepower, what's that good for in a race? But the Civic Si was never built for quarter-mile glory runs. It was built so every time you carve an off-ramp or a back road, your heart claps along with the rhythm. Be honest, how many times a week do you actually line up for a 400-meter drag race versus how many times you're weaving through traffic just trying to get home? Exactly. For that real-world drive, 200 horses are plenty to make you grin without torching your wallet at the pump. Remember that annoying beep from earlier? This time, we'll let it slide, because once the turbo spools in the sweet spot, trust me, what you'll hear is pure boost symphony and your own laughter in the driver's seat.
The gearbox is pure magic. If the engine is the musician, then the Si's 6-speed manual is the electric guitar. One strum and the whole room starts nodding along. Honda's always been famous for slick manuals, but in the Si, it feels straight out of a textbook. The shifter is short, tight, every throw clicks into place like flipping a light switch. None of that sloppy, stirring soup nonsense you sometimes get in old European cars. The throw is just right. The spring snaps it back to center cleanly, and honestly, you could shift it with one finger. Just maybe don't do that with your mother-in-law in the passenger seat, unless you want her thinking you're practicing hand choreography instead of driving. What makes it even better, that rev-matching trick we talked about earlier, it's the perfect dance partner for this transmission. Clutch in, drop into third, revs jump exactly where they need to be. The result? A shift so smooth, you'd swear you hacked the physics engine in a racing sim. New drivers get confidence, veterans get to play like they're performing live. Now, sure, the Volkswagen GTI has its lightning-fast DSG, the Hyundai Elantra N's manual is solid too, but the Civic Si's click is still the signature Honda feeling. A lot of SI owners even joke, I bought this car 70% for the shifter, 30% for everything else. Anyone watching who's owned or driven an SI, back me up. Am I exaggerating here? And remember that beep from earlier? Honestly, with shifts this satisfying, when it beeps now, I just imagine the car is clapping for me. Sounds ridiculous, but drive one and you'll get it. The chassis, that's where the SI practices its martial arts. If the gearbox was the electric guitar, then the suspension and frame are the dojo floor, sturdy enough for you to throw every move without twisting an ankle. Honda stiffened the body, tuned the front McPherson struts and rear multi-link, and tightened up the springs and dampers compared to the regular Civic. The result? A compact sedan that handles like a disciplined black belt, agile, balanced, and ready to spar. Anyone who's driven a Civic Si knows the feeling in a corner. Crank the wheel, the nose dives in instantly, and the rear follows like a loyal apprentice. None of that sloppy understeer you get in bargain FWD cars. And once again, the limited slip diff shows up like a trusty sparring partner, making sure the inside wheel actually pulls its weight when you hammer the throttle mid-corner. The brakes deserve a shout-out too. Bigger rotors, firm pedal, and strong bite. In fact, real-world tests show the Civic Si stops shorter than the Hyundai Elantra N, despite the N having more raw power. That means you can play the late brake game into corners, and the Si will still pull up exactly where you asked, like a karate master stopping a kick a millimeter from your nose. Scary accurate, but controlled. City streets, comfortable enough you're not losing fillings. Mountain switchbacks, fun enough you'll forget you even had a destination. And funny enough, that beep beep we roasted earlier, in the middle of a hard stop, when it goes off, it almost feels like the car is yelling, "Focus, grasshopper," as you train. In short, the Civic Si doesn't give you the brute force of a heavyweight wrestler. It teaches you the precision strikes of a martial artist. Light touch, deadly accuracy.
Sound and beep. The 2025 Honda Civic Si plays both sides. On one hand, you get a 12-speaker Bose system that makes your Spotify playlist sound like you're sitting in a recording studio. On the other hand, the car blasts so many warning beeps inside the cabin, you'll be Googling how to pull a fuse. Here's the comedy. Crank up the Bose to drown out the beeps, and somehow the car just beeps louder. It's like Honda secretly started a contest. Survive the longest with our beep orchestra, and your prize is even more beeps. The engine note itself isn't a muscle car roar, but it's got character. In the mid-range, you hear the turbo whistle with a bit of artificial bass piped into the cabin. Not obnoxious fake exhaust, more like a DJ adding a touch of subwoofer to keep the party going. Subtle, but it works. But just when you're vibing to your favorite track, feeling like the street racer star of your own movie, beep. Total mood killer. Imagine a rock ballad hitting its peak, the drummer smashes a solo, and then beep. Like a security guard just ran on stage to yell closing time. That's the paradox. Honda spent real money on Bose, tuned the engine note, and then let the software warnings crash the concert like an insomniac bird chirping all night. Me? I just treat the beeps as an extra percussion instrument. The problem is, the drummer's a kid from next door who never learned rhythm. So when you buy a Civic Si, think of it as owning a two-part band. Bose is the professional musician, and the beeping system is the neighbor's kid banging pots and pans. Annoying, yes, but also funny enough that when you tell the story to your friends, the whole table laughs.
Half serious, half sitcom, that's the Civic Si's interior. Slide into the cabin and Honda puts on its corporate face. You get sports seats with serious side bolsters, bright red stitching that screams performance, a 9-inch center screen, a digital gauge cluster, Google built-in and wireless Apple CarPlay/Android Auto. It all looks clean, modern, and easy to use. And yes, there's that 12-speaker Bose system I mentioned earlier. Let's not reopen the whole beep concert discussion. But once you actually live with it, the back alley personality shows up. Apple CarPlay occasionally drops out, like your Wi-Fi the moment everyone in the apartment building starts streaming the Super Bowl. Siri sometimes just ignores you, like she's scrolling TikTok on a separate phone. And voice to text? It'll cut your message mid-sentence, so love you honey becomes just love and then silence. Try being romantic after your car literally ghosts your girlfriend. The dashboard design looks sharp, but the volume knob is comically tiny. Wear gloves in winter, and you'll be spinning air half the time. The honeycomb AC vents, cool to look at, but adjusting them feels like playing a mini puzzle game. It's as if Honda wanted the cabin to be serious and stylish, but ended up like a boss wearing a suit jacket with flip-flops. Still, the cabin's sporty vibe is enough to impress your friends. Just don't expect it to stay classy under pressure. Picture this. You're adjusting the temperature, queuing up your playlist, trying to look smooth, and the car suddenly beeps to warn you a door isn't shut all the way. Poof! The serious sedan moment collapses into a sitcom sketch. And trust me, you'll remember that comedy routine long after you've forgotten the fancy red stitching.
The Civic Si lives in that sweet spot of affordable sports sedans, which means its natural enemies are the Hyundai Elantra N, the Volkswagen GTI, and of course its beefed-up cousin, the Acura Integra Type S. Each has its own personality, and the Si plays the role of a karate fighter, compact, disciplined, quick on its feet, not the biggest guy in the room, but always ready. The Elantra N? That's the loud, muscular one. 276 horsepower, a dual-clutch transmission, cornering like it's trying to shred tires for breakfast. But it's stiffer, harsher, and hungrier at the pump. The Civic Si chooses a different path. Just enough power, livable every day without turning you into a full-time gas addict. Picture this. School drop-off in the morning, canyon carving in the afternoon. The Si does both without making you look like you just got into a fist fight in the parking lot. The Volkswagen GTI? That's the European gentleman. Sharp tailoring, clever tech, and a price tag that reminds you he shops at expensive stores. But sometimes that DSG gearbox makes you feel like a passenger instead of the driver. The Civic Si? It sticks with the 6-speed manual like a loyalty badge, proof that here, the driver is still the star. One is the polished gentleman, the other the humble martial artist. Pick your style. And the Integra Type S? Well, that's just Civic Si on steroids. 320 horsepower, a posh interior, and a price tag that's firmly in another league. If the Si is the dojo fighter, the Type S is the UFC headliner. No need to argue. Yes, the Type S is stronger, but it also empties your wallet twice as fast. Here's the real deal. The Civic Si isn't the most powerful, isn't the most luxurious, but it nails the balance. It doesn't try to scare you with excess power, but it never fades into bland commuter territory either. It's the kind of friend you can always call. Never a hassle, but always game for fun. And remember that beep we talked about earlier? None of its rivals have that. Annoying, sure, but it's also the reason the Civic Si goes viral. The Elantra N might win the drag race, the GTI might win the style contest, and the Integra Type S might win the dyno sheet. But who's winning the meme war? That's right, the Civic Si, thanks to its comedy beep cameo.
So, wrapping it up, the 2025 Civic Si isn't a car for everyone, but it is the car that's just enough for a lot of people. It's not a supercar, not a luxury sedan, definitely not an SUV to haul the entire neighborhood to Costco. It's simply an affordable sports sedan that keeps the manual gearbox alive, sprinkles in some modern tech, and, yes, throws in that one little beep loud enough for all of YouTube to know exactly what you're driving. Here's the truth. The Civic Si has two personalities. Calm and ordinary in traffic, but suddenly alive on a mountain road. It's like that quiet uncle who seems harmless at a barbecue until karaoke night when he belts out ballads like a lounge singer. That's why the Si has such loyal fans. People who still believe driving feel matters more than giant screens or 500 unnecessary buttons. So the big question, should you buy a Civic Si? If you want a comfy family hauler, something automatic and easygoing, skip it. Go get an Accord or a CR-V, live your peaceful life. But if you've still got a spark for driving, if you love clutch pedals and the feeling that your hands and feet still call the shots, then the Civic Si is your ticket back into that world. And let's be honest, the real value of the Si isn't on a spec sheet. It's that moment when you slot into third, roll on the throttle, hear that tiny turbo whistle, and your heartbeat climbs at the revs. That's something no brochure will ever capture. So, what do you think? Is the Civic Si truly the karate fighter of the streets, or just the dude with the annoying beep? Drop a comment below and let Carcry know. And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow I'm pulling the cover off another car, one that might stir up even more drama than this little beep machine.